Today marks a return of a classic to the channel. The 15 random facts about the NHL series is back. If you remember this series, then shout out to you because those videos are now over 4 years old. I'm not really sure why I ever stopped making them, but if you guys enjoy this video, then let me know, and maybe this is something that we could do once a week, once every few weeks, or even once a month. NHL legend and Hockey Hall of Famer Phil Esposito was one of the most dominant goal scorers in the NHL throughout the 1970s. From the 1970-71 season to the 1974-75 season, Phil Esposito was able to rattle off 5 consecutive 50-plus goal seasons, and during that span, Esposito reached the 50-goal mark in a season on his birthday, which is February 20th, 3 different times in 1971, 72, and 74. I feel like I've probably included this fact in one of these episodes when this was a series over 4 years ago, but I'm throwing it in here because it's just such a classic. Back in April of 2009, Brooks Light would pick up an assist on the final goal Michael Nylander would score in his NHL career in a 6-4 Capitals victory over the Atlanta Thrashers. And then 2,497 days later, Brooks Light would pick up an assist on William Nylander's first career NHL goal, the son of Michael Nylander. Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild was the first player to reach the 20-point mark this season, and just the 5th different player since the 2000-2001 season with 21 points through his first 10 games of a season. Kaprizov is absolutely on fire right now, and at this point in the season has to be one of the favorites for the Hart Trophy. In the Vancouver Canucks' first game of the season, Daniel Sprong scored a goal. It was his Vancouver Canucks debut, and in doing so, he became just the 3rd player in NHL history to score a goal in his debut with 4 different teams. One of those teams obviously being Vancouver, the other 3 are Anaheim, Seattle, and Detroit. Last night, Alexander Ovechkin became just the 4th player in NHL history, age 39 or older, to record consecutive 3-point games, joining the likes of Jean Rattel, Gordie Howe, and Tim Horton. Leafs fans, cover your ears for this one, but I seen somebody say it and I thought it was hilarious. The day the Toronto Maple Leafs last won the Stanley Cup back in 1967 is closer to the day that the Titanic sank than it is to today. The Edmonton Oilers traded Wayne Gretzky to the Los Angeles Kings back in August of 1988, resulting in a trade tree that lasted 34 years. It finally came to an end when LA Kings defenseman Nelson Nogier opted to leave the NHL to play in Russia back in 2022. Montreal Canadiens goaltender Samuel Montembeault made 48 saves in Montreal's season-opening shutout victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is the most saves in a season-opening shutout in NHL history, surpassing Philip Gustafson, who had previously held the record with 41 saves in a shutout for the Minnesota Wild in their first game last season. Despite racking up a total of 314 goals, including 7 25-plus goal seasons throughout his Hall of Fame career, Pavel Datsyuk was actually never able to record a hat-trick in the regular season, although he did have one in the playoffs back in 2008 against Dallas. To me, this might be the most mind-blowing stat or fact of this entire video. The Boston Bruins have only had 4 losing seasons since 1968. In that span, they have lost more Stanley Cup Final Series than they've had losing seasons, which is just insane. Talk about consistency. Thanks to the lockout canceling half of the 1994-95 season, Washington Capitals goaltender Jim Carey won Rookie of the Year in the AHL and was also runner-up for the Calder Trophy in the NHL. He's the only player to ever be nominated for Rookie of the Year in both the NHL and AHL during the same season. And after his playing career in the NHL, he went on to be a very successful actor. I'm kidding, obviously. Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets scored a goal in the first game of the season for the 7th season in a row, setting a new record for the longest streak in NHL history. For all my gamblers out there, keep that in mind heading into next season. It's probably a good idea to place a bet on him to score in the Jets' first game of the season every year. Back in February of 1993, the San Jose Sharks led for 10 minutes in a game against the Calgary Flames that they ultimately ended up losing 13-1. Those early 90s Sharks teams were absolutely brutal. This season, Jesper Bratt of the New Jersey Devils became the first player in Devils franchise history to record multiple season opening point streaks of at least 7 games. And lastly, I like this one a lot. Only 3 players from the 2024 NHL Draft have already appeared in an NHL game. Obviously, the first overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, the 13th overall pick, Jet Luchenko, and the 217th overall pick, Nikita Prichapov, who was the 9th last selection in the entire draft. Players selected in that range of an NHL draft often don't even end up playing a single NHL game in their entire career, so the fact that he has already played one is pretty insane. Obviously, it has it is entirely due to the fact that the Avalanche roster is completely depleted and gutted thanks to injuries and various other reasons, but it's still pretty cool. So those were 15 random facts about the NHL. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you guys enjoyed, then let me know, and this is something I can definitely do on the channel more often. I enjoy making these, and if this was your first time stumbling across the channel, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this NHL season, and I will talk to you all again soon.